Whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, good morning. I'm honored to be here with my principal co-chair, Pilar Chiavano, and I thank her for her support in my bill. And I would just like to begin by saying thank you for all of you loving and caring for our veterans. And I'd like to just point out that I've got two that are serving. Both my sons are West Point's graduates, and they're serving right now. And I think I'm the only senator in America that has two West Pointers that are still serving. One who graduated from West Point as a president, and the other as vice president. So I think the Archuletas have done well. And I had the honor to serve President Barack Obama to the Board of Visitors, like the Board of Trustees there at West Point, representing them. And I had the honor to serve as the LA County Commissioner of Military and Veterans Affairs for 24 years for the County of Los Angeles, and serving with Ed Edelman and Gloria Molina, and many outstanding men and women representing County of Los Angeles. So I have a long history of serving our veterans and representing them. And as a matter of fact, when my son was born, it was the Red Cross that sent me home on emergency leave. Didn't charge me a dime. Why? Because it's part of the group that assists veterans. And when I came home, I served in combat with the 82nd Airborne. And when I came home and I went directly to the VA, and I was able to be received and taken care of. And I still carry my VA card with me in my wallet because it's so important that, God forbid, I ever need anything, anyone can just see that VA card and I'll have medical benefits and everything else. So I just wanted to point that out. And as chair of the Military and Veterans Committee, again, I'm honored to be here. Senate Bill 694 strengthens California's commitment to protecting veterans from exploitation in the federal claims process. More importantly, it reaffirms our responsibility to ensure that veterans are not misled, manipulated, or taken advantage when seeking the benefits they have earned through military service. The committee's analysis describes the current system of VA accreditation, the public policy purpose of accreditation, and highlighting the federal law that generally requires someone to be a VA accredited in order to assist a claimant in preparing, presenting, and prosecuting a claim for VA benefits. This federal law requiring accreditation is the underpinning of this bill, the key principle that many military and veterans groups that support this bill seek to uphold in California and California law, namely that charging a fee for preparation or assistance with veterans benefits claims should appropriately be reserved to those authorized under federal law to do so, specifically those who are VA accredited. Since 2006, we have seen the exploitation of a new industry of businesses that charge veterans for assistance with benefits claims without being accredited. It is the lack of institutional oversight over these unaccredited actors that is the crux of the problem that this bill seeks to address. The chair of the Oversight Investigation Subcommittee in the House Committee on Veterans Affairs, Representative Chris Pappas, explained in this way that in recent congressional hearings, some veterans may be willing to pay a fee if the services they receive are worthwhile, and a company's business practice are above board. But without adequate oversight through the accreditation process, we cannot be assured that this is happening. As a proud veteran, as I mentioned, as a chair of the Military Committee on Military and Veterans Affairs and a father of two active duty paratroopers, I do all this to protect them and to protect my brothers and sisters who served our great country and not make sure that they're not exploited. This bill would establish in state law the federal prohibition in preparing, presenting, and prohibiting, and also prosecuting claims for benefits unless accredited pursuant to federal law. It should be noted that federal law does not allow for the charging of fees, even for accredited agents and lawyers, for the preparation of initial claims or benefits. And this bill addresses the federal law with respect and dignity. The bill also establishes and strengthens state law by increasing penalties for persons that obtain unauthorized access to veterans' data, on VA computer systems, which is a practice that unscrupulous actors often engage in. It would also prohibit the charging of fees that exceed what a VA accredited attorney or claims agent could legally charge to assist these veterans with their claims. Unaccredited companies have no formal training in the VA system and operate outside federal law. These companies charge a fee for their services equal to 5 times the increase of the veteran's monthly benefits. In some cases, again, 5 times. For example, a new veteran who is approved for 100% disability receives approximately $3,800 per month. Sometimes it changes his entire life, be able to pay his rent, his car, and put food on the table. $3,800 per month. For help filing that claim, a consulting company might charge a one-time fee of about $19,000. In some cases, consultants can pocket as much as $30,000 through a tactic such as holding on to the claim for months and months before filing so it will accumulate. And then when it finally happens, the back pay will accumulate and reaching that benefit of $30,000 for that individual, not the veteran. In 2023, claim chart companies charged approximately $477 million from veterans, active duty military personnel, and their families, according to data collected from the Federal Trade Commission. Senate Bill 694 stands for the principle that any business operating in the arena of providing assistance to veterans in filing claims for VA benefits should have to pay and play the same set of rules that an accredited company. This must all be equal. They should be required to adhere to the professional and ethics standards set by the VA, and they should be accountable to it and not allowed to play outside the umbrella of the VA and the rules and regulations and the protections that the VA does and has for accredited services for our veterans. This bill does not prevent individuals from working in the profession of assisting veterans with VA benefit claims, so long as they obtain a VA accredited certification and education, and to operate under the VA rules. Senate Bill 694 has support from a broad coalition, including the California Association of County Veteran Service Officers, the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, AARP, and PORAC. And, of course, all the organizations that you all work with when you're back home, the VA, AMVETS, all of them that you work with. Here with me in support of the bill is Jim Zenner, the Legislative Director of the California Association of Veteran Service Officers, Michael Brown, a veteran, who will speak about his experience utilizing an unaccredited company, and David West, President of the California Association of County Veteran Service Officers, who can answer any technical questions. And with all this, I respect for your aye vote.
Thank you so much. Senator Chava, would you like to say a few words here?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and members. As the chair of the Assembly Military and Veteran Affairs Committee, I am proud to be a joint author on SB 694, along with Senator Archuleta, who's the chair, my counterpart in the Senate. As the daughter and sister of veterans, I understand just what the men and women who have made great risks in service to their country have gone through. Just this year, my dad passed away in March because of complications from his exposure to Agent Orange. And because of the VA, he lived 40 extra years fighting cancer 3 different times in that time period. And so I know, and my family knows very personally, how important VA services and disability benefits can be for a family, and how important it is to make sure that veterans are connected to these effectively. So, I'm deeply committed to ensuring that other veterans and their families throughout our community have the ability to access the same care and benefits without being exploited and taken advantage of. At a time when too many families are struggling to cover the costs of food and housing and utilities, this legislation would save veterans, and especially disabled veterans and their families, a lot of money. and it would put that money back into their pockets where it should be, rather than lining the pockets of for-profit companies that are taking advantage of veterans in their time of need. SB 694 is a consumer protection bill that enhances California law by protecting veterans from exploitation when submitting their claims for benefits to the VA. Following a 2006 change in federal law that created an unintended loophole, for-profit companies have proliferated nationwide after that change, and they are raking in millions and millions of dollars in profits by charging veterans exorbitant fees to help them with their disability claims and operating entirely outside of the federal accreditation process that was created precisely for this industry. Fees that can be almost a half of a year of disability benefits. So if you think of disabled veterans giving up a half of a year of their benefits, how many people can afford to do that? What's worse is that they're doing so despite the fact that assistance is provided for free by county CVSOs, county veteran service officers, who are funded by the state and counties as our investment to make sure that veterans are getting the services they need and getting connected to benefits. There are also from congressionally chartered VSOs like the American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and other agencies. There are accredited agents and attorneys who do so and charge fees on appeals, but not on initial claims, and whose practices are governed by federal law. This bill makes one simple change to state statute regarding fees charging for assisting with applications for public services. It adds language defining unreasonable fees that conforms to our federal law. So federal law currently states that they are prohibited from charging a veteran any fees for assisting with the initial filing for a VA disability claim. It allows charging a veteran only after the VA issued a notice that the initial claim decision was denied, and only if the VA accredits them. It sets reasonable fees and can be charged after an initial claim by a VA accredited agency. As I mentioned, in 2006, the criminal penalties were unlawfully charging fees that assist veterans with VA disability claims were eliminated. Although those penalties were eliminated, it remains illegal under federal law for anyone who is unaccredited by the VA to charge veterans to assist with their claims. And accredited agents and attorneys may not charge on initial claims. Nevertheless, companies that operate do precisely this. The VA has issued numerous cease and desist letters, but it lacks the authority to impose penalties. None of these companies existed until after the criminal penalties were eliminated in 2006. And numerous state attorney generals have actively investigated these companies, but often lacked state law that permits them to do anything about their operation. This bill will help our state protect veterans who exploit from exploitation by strengthening existing state law and prohibiting exorbitant fees from being charged. The largest national and state veterans organizations with millions of members are asking us to make this change in California to protect our veterans. And after these brave men and women risk their lives to protect ours, the least we can do is ensure that they're not taken advantage of when they need support to access their benefits and treatment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jim Zenner, and I am the Director of the Los Angeles County Department of Military Veteran Affairs and act as the County Veteran Service Officer there. I'm also the Chair of the Legislative Committee for the California Association of County Veteran Service Officers. I'm here today on behalf of the association to express our strong support for SB 694 and to respectfully urge your support. You'll hear from some businesses and opponents that say it's about choice. We reject this false equivalency that says since fee-based unregulated services are the only option in some communities, then it is good enough. Better than nothing is not a policy, and it's not how we should build, that's not how we build equity. Choice is not the same as necessity, and choice should be allowed under a legally protected network. Some opponents have cited that in 2006, changes that repealed the penalties for certain claim acts were fundamental. They were. The fundamental changes were to remove all accountability. In February 2023, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs issued a joint warning about unaccredited actors charging illegal fees for filing claims, often using titles like coach or consultant. The warning noted these individuals have demanded a percentage of the veteran's benefits and in some cases sent unpaid bills to third-party debt collectors. These are real patterns, and they are happening right here in California, and yet when veterans are harmed, there isn't a path to report it or seek relief. Some have asked for data, and we agree. We'd like to see that data. If the state wants a real understanding of the impact of these services, then create the legal framework that allows for transparency and accountability. We've also heard the concern that removing these actors will reduce access. Another part of the issue is insufficient funding in the infrastructure. California has long underfunded the very network of CVSOs that serves veterans, relying on counties and veteran service organizations to pick up the slack. If we want to expand access, then fund the systems that are built to help. We don't look for a single payout. We build safety nets around veterans that come to us not just for a claim, but help with housing. On behalf of CVSO and the veterans we serve across California, I respectfully urge your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
My turn. I guess I'm the disaffected veteran. Greetings from Grass
Can you
Valley,
put that
by
microphone a
the way.
little bit closer to you? Thank you.
Greetings from Grass Valley. Made the 2-hour drive this morning. Good morning, Chairperson and members of the committee. My name is Michael Brown, and I'm a resident of Nevada County. I'm also a proud veteran of the United States Army, having served honorably during the Vietnam era. I'm also a member of the American Legion Auburn Post. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today to share my personal experience in support of Senate Bill 694, an important piece of legislation that will better protect veterans in our state from predatory and unaccredited claims practices. Like many veterans of my generation, I faced ongoing challenges trying to understand the complex web of Veterans Affairs rules, regulations, and benefits, which seem to change annually. Despite the sacrifices we made in service to our country, many of us come home to a system that feels overwhelming and difficult to navigate, with little clear guidance on where to turn for trustworthy professional assistance. Not long ago, while researching benefits I might be entitled to, I learned about a program called Total Disability Based on Individual Unemployability, also known as TDIU. This benefit provides compensation at the 100% disability rate to veterans whose service-connected conditions prevent them from working, even if their combined rating is below 100%. Like many others, I turned to the internet for help in applying for this benefit and quickly found a Florida-based private company advertising claims assistance services. At first, it seemed like a solution, but as I looked into it further, I discovered that their services would come at a significant cost, a minimum of 20% of any retroactive compensation I might receive. Worse yet, the company was not VA accredited, had no oversight, and their communication was poor and inconsistent. It became clear to me they were operating with little regard for the well-being of the veterans they claimed to serve. Thankfully, I chose instead to work with my county veteran service officer, CVSO, a trained, accredited advocate who provided expert, compassionate, and free assistance through the claims process. This experience reaffirmed to me the importance of having trusted, accredited, and locally available resources for veterans. Thank you for allowing me to share my story and my support for this legislation.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here?
Please, if you would. Okay.
Is there anyone else here in support of SB 694?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, Dylan Elliott on behalf of the counties of Kern and Nevada, both in support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah Bridge, on behalf of the California Associations of Veterans Services Agencies, and support.
Thank you.
My name is David Kuda, proud veteran of the Army, 28 and a half years, and a disabled veteran, Also the commander of 55,000 members, over 55,000 members of the California VFW. I strongly support this, and I thank you for your efforts on this.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, morning. Yolanda Benson on behalf with permission for RCRC, the rural counties in support.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tom DiAgostino, a Marine Vietnam veteran, in support and also representing today the Vet Fund Foundation, who is strongly supporting, and the Peace Officers Research Association of California, PORAC, in strong support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Anthony Simpson, CVSO, County Alameda, proud United States Marine. I support.
Thank you.
Al Sims, Director of Veteran Services for Solano County, Army veteran, First Gulf War, and strong supporter.
Thank you.
William Franco, Commander of the Veterans Affiliated Council for the State of California, in strong support.
Thank you.
J.R. Wilson, Department of California, DAV Legislative Director for State of California, also an Army veteran. On behalf of the Department of California, DAV, and the 71,000 life members in the State of California and the many more that we represent, I rise in strong support of Senate Bill 694 and in firm opposition to the unethical practices of unaccredited claim sharks who prey on California's most vulnerable veterans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Helen Wong, Junior Past Commander for AMVETS. We highly support SB 694. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair members. My name is Seth Reed with Reed Government Relations, here on behalf of American Legion, who is a sponsor, AMVETS Department of California, who's a sponsor, the California State Commanders Veterans Council, Military Officers Association of America, California Council of Chapters, and the Vietnam Veterans of America, all in strong support. Also, I am a two-time combat Army infantry veteran.
Thank you.
Good morning. Phil Rios, U.S. Army, combat vet, Vietnam 71, Persian Gulf War 91, 3 tours Korea 86, 89, 93. Sacramento is the best place to be. After my tours. Commander, American GI Forum, sees the reach of his chapter in Sacramento. And on behalf of the State Commander, American GI Forum, Herrera, we support Senate Bill 694.
Thank you.
Chief Warrant Officer Jeff Gonzalez, United States Marine Corps retired and Assemblyman for the 36th District and Vice Chair of Military and Veterans Affairs, in support.
Thank you, sir. Anyone here in opposition to SB 694? Yeah.
Chair, the 4 bus loads outside, they couldn't come in. So I just, for the record, never mind.
Thank you. If we can make room for one more chair there.
Okay.
And there's 2 witnesses for each side, so I don't know if someone's here for technical support. Yeah, okay, that's what I figured. All right, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Good morning, William Taylor. I am a West Point graduate, 23-year Army veteran, paratrooper with 6 combat deployments, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Veterans Guardian VA Claim Consulting. I represent over 200 employees who are almost all veterans, spouses of veterans, and spouses of active duty. We are proud of the ethical and effective service that we're providing to California veterans as well as veterans across the nation. We're running a 90% success rate. Our average decision timeline is 85 days, which is half of the national average. And I would like to note that 70% of my clients come to us after having utilized one of the free services. Let me repeat that, 70% are coming to me looking for a different solution. It doesn't mean that we're here to replace the VSOs, but we serve a vital role in providing an additional option for veterans, and we are doing so in an ethical, upfront, and transparent manner. I would also like to address a few of the issues that were brought up today. Number one, we believe that we are operating completely in compliance with federal law. The indication from the courts, particularly the Third Circuit in the case that we are dealing with, also is indicating affirmation of our interpretation of federal law, so that is not a settled issue. I would also like to address that we are working heavily to try and reform the accreditation process. I've been working at the federal level. There is a bill called the Choice Act, which is passed out of the House Veteran Affairs Committee and will be going before the full House in November, that will open up accreditation for companies like ours, allow us to charge a fee at any step of the process, but more importantly, put in consumer protections. We understand the concerns about the predatory practices. I share them. We need to protect veterans. We feel a better way to do that is, rather than getting rid of the whole industry, let's legislate against the practices we don't like. Let's legislate against the predatory practices and provide protections for veterans while still maintaining their freedom of choice to pursue a claim in the manner that best fits their needs. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is my first time doing this, so I'm a little nervous.
Well, welcome.
Dear Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Ryan Scalmanini, and I am not only a California native, but also a disabled veteran of the United States Coast Guard. And I'm here to testify today in opposition to SB 694 as currently written. After I left active duty, I joined the VA to continue my service to fellow veterans and spent 11 years adjudicating disability compensation claims and performed quality reviews on my colleagues before leaving to join the private sector as Director of Quality and VA Compliance for Veteran Benefits Guide. I strongly support Assemblyman Archuleta's commitment to protecting our veterans, but unfortunately, this bill proposes to exacerbate the very shortfalls that I witnessed in my capacity working at the VA. I have adjudicated thousands of claims, reviewed and processed tens of thousands more from veterans attempting to navigate the process either on their own and oh my God, the lights are out.
Sign from God.
Yeah.
You have, yeah. I haven't had that happen. Okay.
That's the
All right.
special ops.
Everyone take a deep
special
breath.
forces that did that.
Yeah. All right. You may continue. Please.
So I have adjudicated thousands of claims, reviewed and processed tens of thousands more from veterans attempting to navigate the process either on their own, through accredited agents, VSOs, including in this room today, and lastly, costly attorneys. I realized that the best way I could affect positive change for veterans was to take my knowledge of the VA and the legacy process of adjudicating claims to provide a better solution for veterans. Veterans lack experience and institutional knowledge, which is what I have, and decided that this was the best way I could be of service to make the biggest impact. As a disabled veteran myself, it took 8 years to get my appropriate rating, and that was secured through the services of VBG. If it weren't for this critical industry's ability to compile a fully developed claim, I believe I would still be fighting the VA with all the resources that I had. The very burdensome and bureaucratic process with forming a fully developed claim is what gave birth to the private industry, which in most cases successfully provides a much-needed service, a much-needed option for veterans today. I would be more than happy to lend my experience from the VA and in the private sector to improve protections for veterans while also allowing a path for honorable for-profit companies. Unfortunately, the bill as currently written proposes to increase costs to veterans while reducing freedom of choice and access to veteran services. So for that, I ask for you no vote on SB 694 as currently written. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in opposition to SB 694?
Good afternoon. Adrian Talamante, Marine Corps veteran, San Diego native. I strongly am in opposition of 694 as written. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning. My name is Michelle Caudill, and I oppose unless amendment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Will Pearson. I live in San Diego, California. I'm opposed to SB 694 unless amended. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Antonio Pena, U.S. Navy combat veteran and disabled veteran. I strongly oppose this as well.
Thank you.
Good morning. Rafael Garganta, combat vet. I strongly oppose SB 694 unless amended to protect us and our choices.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marisa Cuevas. I'm a U.S. military family member from San Diego. I do oppose SB 694 as written, unless amended to protect, excuse me, our veterans and their choice. Thank you.
Hi, Patrick Holmes, Veteran Benefits Guide, oppose unless amended.
Thank you. We'll bring it back to me. I do want to thank all the veterans on both sides, and as well as, of course, our author for your service. I think that we all have great admiration and respect for our veterans, and I'd like to bring it back to the committee to see if there's any questions, comments, or any motions. Senator Macedo.
I think this bill has taken the most time as far as really trying to work through it, because this was an issue brought to me by veterans from my district of the predatory practices that are happening. So first and foremost, I want to echo the sentiments of our chair. It's so incredible to have people that have served, that are family members of those that have served, because truly we owe you why we're here today. My constituents are demanding change in this particular area, and I think that I've made that clear both to everybody here today. And veterans are hurting and they need help navigating the very bureaucratic system. And if there's a complete ban on the third parties to assist veterans, my question for you, Senator, is can the VSO handle that caseload, first of all? And then secondly, what would be their plan to absorb the increase in those caseloads?
Thank you for the question. Remember, Assembly members, committee members, everyone in the audience, the Veterans Administration is doing everything they can every single day to help our veterans, no doubt. So they had to reach out to these experts. And I mentioned the American Legion, AMVETS, and all these various organizations that you saw. And they have been trained and certified. And the issue here is about accreditation. That's the key. And I welcome these gentlemen to participate, get accredited. Could you practice law without a license? I don't think so. Can you drive a big rig without a commercial license? I don't think so. Can you sell real estate without a broker's license? I don't think so. Do you have the talent to do it? You probably could in your backyard, your garage. But these are professional individuals that we're talking about that are accredited. And I welcome their journey to accreditation. As a matter of fact, when we presented the bill earlier, I invited our members here to sit with me. Give me your list of things that you would like in a bill to get the bad apples out. Am I correct? I did that.
Correct.
And I am still willing to do that. In the interim, we have to maintain federal law. We have to maintain state law. And state law, according to the Attorney General and everyone else, is that we are not allowed to have these individuals practice without being accreditation process. And that's the gist of it all. I thank them for their service. The West Pointer, as I mentioned, I served on the board overseeing the West Point graduates and so on. I did that with the president. So I know your devotion to duty, God and service. I got that. But you're not accredited. This gentleman here, who's a great case, sounds like he's an expert. What a perfect guy to be accredited. And that is my point. Let's get them accredited. Let's get behind them. But let's follow the law.
Senator, it looks like one of your lead witnesses has a comment regarding absorbing some of the workload.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm David West, president of the California Association of County Veteran Services Officers. And I would like to point out that last year, our association submitted 12% of the total claims that was received by the VA, and we only have 8% of the veteran population in our union. Our data is easily verifiable, right? All of our claims are submitted through CalVet and go through the VA. These gentlemen are speaking about data that has not been verified by anybody outside of their own company. They can make any claims that they want without having any data that's been verified by a third party. Is what California likes to call junk data, right? We can't take their word. We can't take their claims. We don't know what claims they're choosing not to work because there's not enough profit margin for them. But no, ma'am. And one more thing I want to point out to you that we are working with CalVet to figure out how to do a centralized work queue for some of our counties that might need assistance in that area. Thank you.
Actually, before you step away, I do have a follow-up question. So what will happen, or who will help the veterans whose applications have been wrongly denied?
Oh, we help them right now. We continue to help them. We have vets. The reason why we find out about these companies is because they don't have the access to the veterans claim folder that we have. So these companies are submitting claims or preparing claims or whatever term that they're using. They submit them and it goes into the VA, and they only have a tool called va.gov to check. I personally hate va.gov because it elicits more questions than it does answers, right? So these veterans are then coming into our offices because we're their assigned VA rep, where we then have the answers to tell them what's going on with their claim, why the VA is sending them sending them certain letters, and then once, of course, encouraging them to attend their VA examination that is part of the claims process.
Okay, thank you. I have some questions for the opposition. What protections do you have for the veterans who trust your company's consulting services and sign the paperwork, but are later required to pay back some or all of the benefits received due to erroneous information on the paperwork?
I would like to address that. Number one, that is something that we have never experienced. Honestly, to this point, we have not had a veteran that's worked with my company had any money clawed back. There are cases where a veteran's medical condition will improve and they'll no longer meet the criteria to receive benefits. But typically, if that's the case, we will assist the veteran at no additional charge. We consider that part of the original fee to address any of those issues with the VA. But if the VA ultimately determines that they no longer have the condition because they've gotten treatment, sometimes the benefits can end. But we have never seen money clawed back because of a claim that we've assisted with. And if we were to find an error, I can tell you just my company, we would make the veteran whole.
And Assemblywoman, if I may, Ray Colas with Veteran Benefits Guide. To answer your question, the VA is who decides what the claim, what the veteran is entitled to. They're the only ones who make that decision. So if there was an error, that error would have occurred at the VA. If there was an error due to this paperwork that we submitted, well, then that's fraud. So are we talking about fraud, or are we talking about a simple error and when a decision was made by the VA?
I guess my question is, I mean, I'm sure that we have lots of veterans that mistakes do happen.
Yep.
And I want to make sure the veteran is not the one paying the ultimate price. So I'm wanting to make sure that there's safeguards here, because I've heard just absolute horror stories. And I'm not saying it's your business, but there are bad actors out there. I think you guys 100% will admit that. My next question is when you charge the veteran for your service, is it per ailment or is it just for the overall application?
For a veteran's guardian, it's for the overall. It's based on the increase in their compensation. So whether you do one claim or 10 claims, it's based on how much our assistants help the veteran get additional benefits. We work strictly on a contingent basis. So if the veteran does not get an increase in their compensation, there is no fee. Full stop. If they do get an increase in their benefits, our fee is 5 months of the increase. That is a one-time fee. We do not touch back pay. And so some of the accusations that will drag out a claim unnecessarily long, that doesn't apply to us. That actually only applies to the accredited attorneys, not to our industry. We also do not invoice until we validated that the veterans are getting their new money from the VA, so that any fee that is paid to us is paid with benefits that they were not receiving before. And we offer multiple payment plans with no interest and no fees. And we would recommend in our recommended amendments to this that we codify those practices. And also addressing the fraud issue, we also would recommend in our recommended amendments that we give the veterans a right of action here in California, that if we do something wrong, if we do commit fraud, that then the veteran could come after us in the state courts. We believe fundamentally in preserving those rights, and we believe that there's a way to get there by addressing the specific issues that we're concerned about rather than just getting rid of the entire industry.
So that's actually really quickly. Go ahead.
I think your first question, part of what you're getting to is the first example that he shared when someone's status changes. Mm-hmm. And so what we have seen is that they still have to pay that full amount. So if you owe $20,000 and then suddenly you're not eligible anymore for disability benefits because of whatever reason, if your status changes or if there was incorrect information, that we've had instances that we've heard of where the VA has gone back and audited. They'll audit applications, and if they find them to be inaccurate, then they will lower the amount that people are approved for. They still owe whatever that original amount is, even though they're getting a lower benefit now.
Okay. You have something.
Mr. Chair, can I ask Jim to jump in on that as well? Jim?
Sure.
Yeah, for an earlier question, in LA County right now, you can walk into Bob Hope Patriotic Hall 5 days a week and be seen. So we welcome the extra traffic into our building to assist. One other piece is in LA County, we have a information hub where we know we have over 40,000 self-identified veterans that are going to social services department, going to child support services. This will have a big impact on your counties because we work as county VSOs to get in front of those individuals and not just help them with the claim, but help them with everything else. Where the for-profit companies tend to just help with the claim to make the money and then they're done. We're, telling them about their free access to parks, which is a great state benefit. We're telling them about their tuition fee waiver, which is an amazing benefit that the state offers through CalVet. So that's, and people come into counties, they're not having a good day. So it's really important to protect our vulnerable veterans to not have these folks out there operating.
I saw that you had something really quick.
Yes, I did. With respect to debt recoupment, Assemblywoman, that is not how the VA actually operates. So a clear and unmistakable error is defined in VA law and would be required to be met and would have to be shown that the veteran purposely withheld information or contributed to fraud in some way. Otherwise, the decision of the VA rests with them. It is their responsibility, therefore recoupment would not apply to that veteran. So only in very specific cases would the veteran have to recoup that, and it would be clearly defined by law and evidence.
I think this is just further evidence that this is a very complex issue that clearly there's lots of conversations that have been had, and I look forward to having more conversations with you because I know you have experienced this. The final thing that I kept hearing over and over again is we need more regulation and oversight. So I'm going to start with you guys because if you're saying you're one of the good guys, I'm going to take you at your word, and you want to be regulated, what does that mean? Because I want the bad guys out, and I don't want them out tomorrow. I want them out right now because every minute that we wait to regulate this is another veteran that's being taken advantage of. So what can we do?
There's two levels of this issue. First of all, this is really a federal issue. All right, I have been working actively for 6 years at the federal level to reform accreditation, to create a path for us to become accredited, to be regulated by the VA, and to operate within the system. That took an important step forward in April of this year when the Choice Act was passed out of the House Veteran Affairs Committee and is now going to be considered before the full House. So that's step number one. I've got to fix the accreditation system at the federal level. Here at the state level, while we're waiting for the federal government to figure out this issue, and that's who should be figuring out this issue, what we can do is put consumer protections in place. Identify every predatory practice out there. I am open to basically anything that the opposition has identified. And let's legislate against every single one of those practices here in the state of California so that we can provide some level of oversight, some level of protection for veterans while we're waiting for the federal government to make that decision.
Get his attention. Mr. Chair, as I pointed out earlier, the gentleman here, no doubt that he's trustworthy. He's an outstanding veteran. I've got no problem with that. And it sounds like he's in the process. Let's let the process work its way out. If he's going through that process with the federal government and he's seeking accreditation, that's going to open up the doors not only for California, but for other states as well. But until then, I think we have to act now to do exactly as you said, protect our veterans today. This is year 2025. If you're going to get this done in 26, I invite you to come back and I will sponsor a bill to be able to license these individuals to practice in California. Until then, they have no license to practice in California under federal law and under our department. And this is what I'm trying to say. And we also heard something that we didn't present, either one of us, that when these veterans go in to visit their county veteran service officers, it's not just for them, it's for their families, their children, to go on to college. People don't know that CalVet, if you're a qualified veteran, your children can go to college free. Where did that information come from? The county veteran service officer. If your family has issues within the county services or whatever it might be, they will get it there. So it's not just one, but it's opening the doors for other veterans to realize that they can go to their American Legions, AMVETS, and every other, the Red Cross, whatever, for services. And this is a multitude of people, but they have data, they have proof, they have regulations, and that's what we're trying to do. Accredited, come on, we welcome you, but you're not. and we shouldn't allow them to practice in California.
I just thank you once again to all of our servicemen and women in this room. Veterans first. I think that's what we can all agree on. So thank you, Senator, for bringing this forward, and I will move the bill.
All right, there's a motion. Is there a second? We have a second. I think it's Senator Pappen. I'm just going to go down the line. We're having a little bit too much of a free-flowing conversation, so if we can have directed questions to individuals, that'd be appropriate.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we can all stipulate that we want what's best for our vets. So let's put that out there, and I thank everybody for what they're trying to do for our vets. So my question really comes down to the scope of services. And is it that, and I'll pose this to the opposition first, is it that the scope of services that you are providing, the same scope of services that is mandated at the federal level to be accredited? I think accredited is the word you're using, not licensed, but accredited.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you that first, and let's see what you have to say, and then I'm probably going to come back to you all as well. So go ahead.
Go ahead. So instead of providing you with an interpretation, I will recite to you federal law word for word.
Whatever you want to do to give me an
Federal
answer.
law states no individual may assist claimants in the preparation, presentation, and persecution of claims for VA benefits as an agent or attorney unless he or she has first been accredited by the VA for such purposes. By
So
way of
assist,
definition,
did you say assist?
as an agent or attorney, correct. So there's a qualifier, yes. So it says preparation, presentation, persecution of claims for benefits as an agent or attorney. So the key qualifier is agent or attorney. So an agent represents the veteran before the VA, or an attorney provides them with legal services or even takes power of attorney. We do not provide those services. And that is why
What
we are
is
not
it that
accredited.
you're doing then?
Yes, so we assist the veteran with the preparing the information before it's submitted to the VA. So we're providing them with the consulting services. There's 8 stages once your claim gets to the VA. And the 3rd stage is what we prepare before it goes to the VA, which takes the most amount of time, which reduces the time that a veteran waits to receive their claim, their decision, by 30 to 60 days. So that is the only reason why we are not required by federal law to be accredited. However, once and if we choose to represent that veteran before the VA, and we're not accredited, we would then be in violation of federal law. So I wanted to provide that very important clarification that the trigger is as an agent or attorney. And again, we do not provide such services.
And may I jump in
Go to
that
the other
our
side.
Attorney General has stipulated they are not operating within California state law based on his understanding, based on law, and that's why the bill is here. And again, we invite them to get accredited. That's not the problem. Let's let them do that. But let's make sure that we protect veterans here in the state of California. What they do outside the state, I have no bearing on, and I'm sure they do very well mathematically. But I want to make sure that our veterans are taken care of here in California. And my co-chair has a statement.
That was my initial stipulation, but go ahead.
Thank you. So I think what's happening here is that it's a word game, right? We're not gonna call ourselves an agent. We're gonna call ourselves a consultant. But I think the key words are not actually agent. The key words are prohibits preparation of documents, which they said they submit paperwork. They're assisting with preparation of claims. These are the words that he just said himself. Presentation and prosecution of any claims. So you cannot do any of those activities if you are not already an agent of and recognized by the Secretary of the VA and accredited. So this is, I have a contract here that of a different company, not this company. But we have a contract from someone who, sought out their services. They have a HIPAA. You sign over a HIPAA claim to allow them to go get health information from healthcare providers. If you are not representing someone in that situation, I don't know what is. And they also require that they pay the payment within 30 days of receipt of the invoice, to a question earlier. But, this is pages and pages of them representing veterans as an agent and operating in a way that is clearly illegal based on federal law. And as, the senator said, we would love for them to get accredited. The value of being accredited is that there's extensive training, because it is a complex web of to go through a claims process and apply. So there's training that's required of accredited folks, and there's also, they're able to have transparency over the work that they do. These folks are rated on their ability to process these claims and their success rate. They, as was said before, they can make all kinds of claims, 99% success rate. They're able to cherry pick people. CVSOs have to serve everyone. They're able to choose the claims that they think are going to be the most profitable. CVSOs, every case, no matter how difficult it is, they could spend 1 hour helping someone and get $20,000, or they could spend 5 or 10 hours. There's no real standards and no real way to see behind the curtain, which is the problem with this illegal business, these illegal businesses that are operating basically with no transparency and no daylight.
I think one of the other things we can probably stipulate too is that the VA is no easy task to negotiate yourself through.
True that.
So there is, listen, my county is great as CVSO, and I know they're all doing great work. I don't think it is the fault of the CVSO that we might have a gap here in people's ability to recover their benefits. I think we can all look to the VA to have accomplished that quite well and on their own. Mm-hmm. But
as they cut staff.
So I do have some concerns, and I am going to support the bill, but I do have some concerns about eliminating some folks that are offering services. They're standing before you saying, regulate the heck out of us. We'll do that. But why aren't we doing that? Now, it may be, I have a feeling you don't like to be certified because that may restrict your fees. No. Would you say no on the record?
I would like to say no.
We would absolutely agree to a state registration, and I can tell you everything in detail.
Okay, that's fine. And we can talk about capping your fees and all kinds of good stuff.
We would agree to that as well.
I reckon, yeah. So some of the things that I have come to understand, that you would allow yourselves to be regulated by way of caps, by way of, hold on, I have to put on my glasses. Just a moment. Disclosure documents, licensing or registering by the state, private right of action, all those good things that would, if in fact you're doing these services, yes. I think some member does make a good case. One man's consultation is another man's representation. And got a little bit of a problem there. But the VA is the pit. And no, nothing to the CVSOs. I love them in my county. I can't say enough good things about them. But we got a gap here, and I would like to see some alternative, because we have people that fought for our country, for heaven's sakes. If we can't serve them, who are we going to serve? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for answering all my stuff. I appreciate it.
And I would like to point out that the state of California is doing something about it. Jim, would you tell us how much money was allocated just recently by the state of California for the VSOs?
Yeah, so we're up to $11 million in subvention, which equates to around $70 per claim. Yeah. Okay. So what the state has an option to do and the federal government has an option to do is to fund us more. And so that
stand in line.
So that way veterans don't have to pay.
Yeah,
they don't have to. And the thing is we, as a social worker straight out of school, we would help each other on the side of the building. Just, hey, where's your claim at? We do it for free. We take care of our own. And this is kind of all just, I don't understand why we got here, but we're here.
Okay. So the work I've done as chair of the Military and Veterans Committee was to get those proceeds to our veterans and to the entire state of California, all the veteran service officers. So that money was requested. We started with $1 million, got to 5. Now we're 11, and so we are recognizing the fact that we need trained professionals within the system. So we are doing something, California. We're not sitting waiting. We're doing something. And as soon as these individuals get their completion as they're going through, then we welcome in. As I said, I will help them get their license in California. And until then, we've got to protect our veterans and go forward. Okay.
Assemblymember Stephanie.
Thank you. I want to thank Senator Archuleta for bringing this bill forward and to Assemblymember Schiavo for co-authoring it. You know, I have such respect for veterans. I am the proud daughter of a Vietnam veteran, a first lieutenant in the Army, who served in the Army for 2 years, or 4 years, 2 years, 1 year in Vietnam, and then 3 years at home. And it's just my feeling that veterans shouldn't have to pay one penny at all for any of these services. And I don't like seeing veterans on two sides of an issue, because I think there are good people trying to help those vets. And when I was on the board of supervisors, I passed a resolution that demanded San Francisco hire a county veteran service officer when that position was vacant too long. And it was interesting because Al Sims, I don't know if he's still in the audience, we were able to hire him because of it. We now lost him to another county, and that's San Francisco's loss. But, you know, I have such compassion for vets. And again, I want to thank every service member, active and vet in this room that has served. What we put them through when they come home is just abhorrent. And it should not be this difficult for them to get the services and the compensation they so rightly deserve. My father was in an area most heavily sprayed with Agent Orange, and he is now suffering from Lewy body dementia for 7.5 years now. And every single person in his bunker either had some type of cancer, Parkinson's. Half of them have passed. My dad is 81 years old, and I just think we need to be doing everything possible to make sure veterans aren't taken advantage of. I think this bill accomplishes that. I do see the gray areas in which some of these good, veterans over here are operating in that I think we need to fix. And I respect Senator Archuleta's commitment to that. And I just do think that we need to do everything right now to make certain veterans are not taken advantage of. And the bad actors are probably ruining it for the good people that are trying to help. But again, I don't think that vets should have to pay one penny for these services to anyone, and it's on us to make sure that they don't. I think this bill is a step in the right direction, and I would love to be added as a co-author. And I want to thank to Senator Archuleta for one of the best things I've done. I'm a freshman legislator here. One of the best things I've done here was that weekend in San Diego with you and some other members, where we watched the Marines graduate. From that, over 500 Marines graduated. We were on that Navy ship. We watched the Coast Guard. And I want to thank you for that experience, because it just reminded me of the issues that people are facing while in the military and also when they get out. And the vets, the issues that we discussed that the veterans are facing that a lot of us don't even think about. In that weekend, we got to see those issues up close and personal. We got to hear from those veterans that are trying to make a living here in California after their service. And again, it's an issue that I'm passionate about. I'm emotional about, because it affects my father, all his friends. It was my dad's Vietnam buddies who were there for him when he wouldn't go get seen for Lewy body dementia. One flew in from Colorado to get him to go to UCSF, the Memory Care Center. It was one of his Vietnam buddies that called me and said, "Your dad needs to be getting benefits from the VA."
Yeah.
And I have so much respect for people who serve. I can't say enough or do enough. And I think this bill is a step in the right direction. I do want to respect the opposition, make sure that somehow we find a way to include them in what I think they're legitimately trying to do, those that are here today, in helping our vets. But again, thank you for bringing this forward, and I will be supporting it today and would love to be a co-author.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next up, we have Assemblymember Zuber.
So thank you for bringing the bill today. Obviously, my dad too was a veteran, a disabled veteran. He actually contracted rheumatic fever when he served in Korea, and that led to a heart condition that plagued him his entire life, and he died of it in the end. And I remember as a kid, him navigating the Veterans Administration through different administrations. Sometimes it was easier. During the Reagan administration, it was really hard. And I think that we should be doing everything we can to help veterans navigate that system and get the services and the benefits that they need. I had a question for the, if it's possible, for the opponents. So why is it that you're not able to get accredited?
So under the current accredit, prior to 2006, no one was allowed to charge a fee to provide assistance to veterans. In 2006, when they changed the law, they allowed lawyers to come in and accredited agents to charge a fee to assist with appeals. And so there is a system where veterans are paying for assistance under the accreditation model to work on appeals. But they maintained the moratorium for accredited agents to charge a fee to help with initial claims. So the reason that we can't get accredited right now is because the way we look at providing assistance is I want to help veterans across the board, things that they should have claimed that they didn't, secondary conditions, both of which are initial claims, and with things that they've been denied for or are underrated. If I'm accredited, I can only assist with that last category, and that's less than 10% of the work that I do. And so I am better serving my veterans operating as an unaccredited entity because I'm capable of looking at them holistically. I want to change the accreditation rules to allow us to become accredited. That's what the Choice Act does. That's the direction that the federal government is heading, but it's going to take some time for them to get there. If we look at just putting a ban on us like this bill does, it is going a step further than current federal law goes. We are going past what federal law currently says. A better way to protect veterans is to go with our amendments where we legislate against the practices while we're waiting for the federal government to make the decision on what accreditation is going to look like going forward.
So when we talk about the categories of services that are provided, assisting, I think the list that Assemblymember Chavo raised, that is, you're only able to get accredited for providing those services essentially on an appeal. Is that right?
No, so you can only be accredited.
And to charge.
Well, no, but the important thing is what the law says is as an agent or attorney. So accreditation is about being accredited as an agent. And an agent, the defining characteristic of being an agent, and this was stated by the VA in 2006 when they published their rule on the law, that the defining characteristic of being an agent is completing the power of attorney form and becoming the veteran's representative to the VA. They are submitting the claim on behalf of the veteran. They're prosecuting. They have access into VBMS, into CAPRI. They have the ability to talk with the raters. Agency has a very definitive meaning. We are not acting as agents. We are acting as consultants. The veteran is submitting the claim on their own name, on their own behalf. They're prosecuting it with us as consultants assisting them. And we believe that it is every veteran's right to make that choice, not only under current VA law, but also under the Constitution and their First Amendment rights to work with anyone to exchange information, to prepare to petition their government for a grievance.
These fines that were removed in 2006 too, they weren't removed for our industry. Our industry did not exist 20 years ago. This existed, the co-creation of VSOs and the VA putting together what's called a fully developed claim to help with this problem of how many claims. So in 2006, those fines were removed to protect VSOs and family members or friends from helping veterans without getting civil or criminal penalties. At that time, this industry did not exist. So there was no reason, and we are not the reason for those fines to be removed. I wanted to make that clear as well.
Okay, I mean, I have great respect for the authors. I know that they're trying to, really protect our veterans. It sounds like there's some bad actors out there that this is aimed at addressing, and so I'm clearly going to support the bill today. I do hope, though, that that you'll work with the opponents and find a way of not closing down help for veterans and giving veterans choices for folks that actually are regulated. I do think that folks should be regulated because there is fraud that's going to occur, especially when there's fees that are going to be charged. But, I also think of it in the same way. I can go get a passport and follow the normal process. At one point, basically, I ended up going to sort of an outside agent to sort of help me get the passport. That they went down to the federal building. I had to pay a fee for it. But like, I'm really glad that I had that service because I would have had to cancel a really important trip with a family if I had not had that. So I think that continuing to give veterans options is a good thing as long as the options are regulated. And it doesn't sound to me like the answer says just get accredited is the answer, because if they can't get accredited, then you're basically shutting
They
them
can, they just can't charge you.
down. Well, but that's but that's
They can
that,
get
but that's not enough. That's not enough. I mean, no one's gonna provide services and support their family.
The reason why the VA and the reason why this rule exists to not charge on a veteran's initial claim, because that is usually the easiest time for a veteran to get service connected. And there you have presumptive conditions. You might have a veteran who got his Purple Heart, some combat medals of valor, never filed their claim for PTSD, doesn't understand the situation, doesn't understand the claims process, right? So the reason why you can't charge for those initial claims is that is usually the easiest time for a veteran and has the highest return on these companies' investments. That's the reason why they do not want to get accredited, because the difference between 50 and 70% is very little, but a difference between 0 and 70% is thousands of dollars, which then allows them to spend millions of dollars on marketing and lobbying to get this issue addressed. I want to highlight one thing. I do many things. In my life. I'm a veteran services officer. I'm also a dad. And one of the things I have to do every year as a dad for my coach my girls basketball is I have to take my online safe training. I have to get a certificate to let them know that I am a safe person to work with, and I've been to a class and parents can trust my kids. All we're asking is that these companies go out and get accredited, and it's not on the California taxpayer for us to invent accreditation policy or an oversight, or for them to continue to do their work and get legalized, so therefore they can operate in California. I do not know of any other industry where we allow people to operate that are currently not licensed or accredited in any fashion to charge for their services. It's already against California law.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right.
Thank you. I didn't ask you a question, but let me.
I came in the middle of this, so I'm trying to sort out who's on first.
Yes. So let me just. I'm just going to finish. I agree that actually anyone who's providing a service to veterans needs to have oversight, and there should be some regulatory program there. There seems to be a difference of opinion of whether or not these guys can get accredited. I would just like to not. I'm going to vote for this today. Obviously, I think that the thrust of the bill is actually very, very important, and so voting for that purpose. But I'd also like to make sure that we're not sort of closing down options for veterans, because I know what my dad went through. Sometimes he'd go to the VA and he couldn't get a response, and then we'd go to the appeal, and we were sitting there. It's like sometimes people need help, and the help that they're getting is not. We have all kinds of navigators and all kinds of government programs, and those navigators, 95% of the time, they work well, but they don't always work well. So I just hate shutting down avenues for relief if we don't have to, but I do believe they need to be regulated. So I'd hope you'd work on something like that.
Yeah, and if I may, Madam Chair, we're not trying to prevent them. We're trying to encourage them to go ahead and get into the process. And once they get in the process and they come back, God willing, a year or two from now, then I will lead the charge, and I will do that to help them, to open the doors. But one of the things we just heard that just came to me, we have veterans that are getting 15 and 20% disability claim, right? And the time and effort it takes to do that, they'll do it. But wait a minute, I got this guy here who receives a Purple Heart and can hardly walk, and he's brain damage and everything else. Well, I don't want to spend any time on this guy. I'm going to spend all my time on this guy, because this is the big bucks. This is the big bucks. Now, I'm being facetious, but in reality, they have to adhere to every single veteran, no matter what it is. How do I get my kid into college? I'm a combat veteran. How do I go ahead and pay my rent? Get me into the services. So it's a full service organization, our VFWs, American Legion, AMVETS, all of them, that all of you represent in your communities. So this is just opening up the door that, God Almighty, we've got an issue here, and we're going to address it. We're addressing it here in California, and we should take the lead. And if we can help these individuals, good people, get accredited, then let's do it. but let's keep the bad apples out. And that's my closing. And with that,
Oh, you
I
had
ask
one
for
more
an vote.
question over here. Assemblymember Pacheco, please,
I'm
real
sorry.
quick.
So I just want to thank you, Senator, for always thinking about our veterans, for always pushing for legislation to support our veterans, and for doing everything that you can for our veterans. And to all of our veterans, I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. It's important for your voice to be heard, especially when it comes to legislation that may impact you. And I think we can all agree, I know it's said before, we all care about veterans. Opposition cares about veterans. And so they want to make sure that everything is done to help them to navigate the system. And so I want to commend you for being here as well. Thank you for your service for those that have served. But it seems like there's a pathway forward. Opposition wants to be regulated. And so I want to hear from you as to this bill and how we can move forward. I know you want to be regulated, and I would just love to hear from you if there's certain amendments that can be taken to make this bill better.
So you're asking for that
Yes.
answer? Okay, so here are the real protections that we could agree to and have agreed to. Veterans should have the right to pricing transparency. A description of the services, including the amount of compensation that will be determined and what they would have to pay for. They should be made aware that a free service exists, and they should acknowledge that in writing. Fees should be contingent only on an increase. So therefore, it doesn't matter how hard we work on a claim. If they do not see an increase, we do not get paid. There should be a prohibition on guaranteeing a successful outcome because you cannot predict what the outcome would be. We also finally agreed that a person shall not make a false representation that they are an accredited representative of a VSO, a claim agent, or attorney. So those are the real protections we can agree to without being prohibited from providing our services altogether.
And we can take.
I want to hear from the other.
In addition to those, we would agree to a fee cap, a reasonable fee cap, which we have seen in 7 other states that have enacted similar legislation and is also included in the federal legislation. We agree on a moratorium of us assisting veterans within the first 365 days of their separation, which is when it's the most opportune and easiest for a veteran to get their fees approved. We would agree with adding a right of action so that veterans would have recourse in the state of California. I could keep going on and on. You pick a criticism of our industry, and I can't think of any of them that are out there right now that we wouldn't agree to a prohibition against them. And we have provided these recommended amendments frequently.
And Madam
And then I'll go ahead and now hand it over to the senator.
Well, Madam Chair, these are great ideas. And you know what? When it's time to give them their license and get a state license, we will implement that. But until they finish the accreditation process, because we don't know how that's going to turn out, because it may turn out positive, may turn out negative. They still have work to do in dealing with the VA in Washington. When that comes back, then we could take another look at it. And we will continue working with that. But right now, we're under a constraint. We are under federal law, California state law, that says these individuals cannot operate in California representing veterans when they're not accredited. And it goes back to the accredited. And again, paralegals can't go to court and represent a client. You know that. I know that. But will they do everything they can? I'm sure. But there's regulations that we're trying to establish here. And the County of Los Angeles, the largest county in the country, who has more veterans than anyone else. We have almost 1 million veterans there. They have the best of the best. And every county in the state of California has these professionals. We want to respect what they do. We want to enhance what they do, no doubt. But we want to find the bad apples and keep them out. We want to encourage those that are good. Okay, but let them finish their process. In the interim, we have to adhere to law.
So I just had a question. So it seems like all of us want to get rid of bad actors. Mm-hmm. And it's true that paralegals cannot represent a client, but you sometimes see a situation where a client needs help and that paralegal cannot go into the courtroom and represent that client, but a paralegal will sometimes help with filling out forms, and yet the client will then go into the courtroom themselves and represent themselves. Mm-hmm. But of course, an attorney a paralegal cannot do that. And it seems like, and I could be wrong, but it seems like this is the kind of services that are being provided where they fill out the paperwork, but they're not representing them. So
They're
I
credit.
could,
But we have an avenue.
So,
Correct.
well,
And we have
so-
the avenue right back
so
here.
I know and that's
All right,
the
we'll go
whole
round and
thing.
round.
What
Go
I'm
ahead.
trying to see is there a way that conversations can be had with opposition? Because it seems like they want to be regulated, they want to help veterans, and I think at the end of the day, our goal should be helping veterans. And so I want to see if there's a path forward to have that open dialogue, to hear them out and somehow work on this bill, because if there's no path forward, I don't think I can support it.
Okay.
There's already a process going forward. At the federal level, there is a bill to do exactly what they want to do, basically. And so that is moving forward. It's probably going to pass, if I'm being honest about the politics of the situation right now. So there is something moving forward. And if that's the case, then we may need to reevaluate this as a state. But current federal law, they are operating illegally. They are up here testifying today as an illegal business operating, proudly talking about the work that they're doing in our state illegally. They are operating illegally. If you're talking about a paralegal, they still have to be licensed. There's still all kinds of, requirements that you need to do. Nothing. They are in completely no man's land. No requirements, no standards, no reporting, nothing. Nothing is happening right now to give us any daylight on what they're doing. And so we respect that they are setting up their own standards and trying to do good work. They are not representative of this industry. They're one company that continually, this is the third time I've seen them, because they may be the only good company that they can find in this industry to come and testify. And they're an out-of-state company from North Carolina. The other companies are out-of-state companies. There's none of these companies are based in California. And so the company is not based in California. You are a company.
I live and work in California.
I'm not talking
San
about
Diego.
people who work for the company. I'm talking about the company.
Veteran Benefits Guide has an office in San Diego,
Has an
California.
office, but it is based
and we were
in northern-
founded in San Diego.
And based in
We also have an office in Nevada, yes.
In
but we
Nevada.
were founded in San Diego. That's where I work.
Okay. My mistake. One company is here. So this is there's already a federal process going forward. That is not what this bill is. This bill is not that process. This bill is simply saying that what is current federal law that makes this illegal, we are going to clarify in state law as well. And we're doing that a lot right now based on what's happening at the federal level. We are doing that in a lot of different areas to protect people. And so this is simply making sure that it's clear so that the Attorney General, who right now does not feel like our current state law is crystal clear enough to make sure that they're holding these companies accountable. But already, for example, if you were to charge to help someone get Medi-Cal or to help someone get CalFresh, right? This is what's happening with these companies. They are charging people to help them get what they should get for free and public benefits. That is what's happening. And so this bill, there's no daylight for veterans organizations. Veterans organizations 100% are supporting this bill. It is a national priority to move this policy forward. Multiple states, including I think Arkansas, have made this illegal, 100% illegal. Alabama, whatever it is.
Four states that have made
Four
it
states,
illegal.
which are?
The ones that pass legislation that's supportive of our business, Arkansas.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm talking about making it illegal.
There are only 4 states that we do not operate in right now. We are not operating in the state of New Jersey, the state of Maine, Utah, or New York. I am currently suing the state of New Jersey and Maine.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
So this is illegal federally. We are making sure it is illegal here statewide. We already have consumer protections at the statewide level to make it illegal to charge people to access public benefits. So this is just additional clarification to allow the Attorney General to enforce the law that currently exists and make sure that people who are, maybe not these people because everybody likes them, but other people who are preying on people that they cannot do that because there is no way for us to actually see what they are doing, see how they are representing people, see what they're charging, see the work that they're doing. No vision behind the curtain right now.
Okay.
And this is the right way to do it.
So it seems like they want to be regulated, and they offer a service that you said seems like they're good actors. So they want to be regulated. They want to get rid of the bad actors. And I think at the end of the day, we all want to get rid of the bad actors. So I guess I'm not fully understanding why
they can get accredited. They just can't charge.
Hold on. Okay. It seems like they have an oppose unless amended. That's very different from an oppose. That means there is a pathway forward. And I just want to make sure that they are heard. And from what I'm hearing, there is no willingness to have them heard. And I think at the end of the day, they're veterans. They're veterans helping other veterans. And instead of all being divided, we can all get to the table. We can all have a conversation. We can figure it out to make this bill better, because at the end of the day, we have to protect our veterans. They have served our country, and now we have to do everything in our power to protect them, and they agree, but also to
protecting them.
Help the services, but they also want to protect them too. So that's where I guess I am a little confused. And if there was a willingness to have conversations, I would definitely support it.
Assembly
but
member,
it doesn't seem that way.
Okay.
That's my frustration.
A win-win is what I've proposed. The win-win is that we will back them when they come back a year or two. When they come back with some hard facts from the federal government, from the VA, that they can be licensed legally in California. And they're not right now. That's the point. Our doors are not closed to the veterans. They're operating under all these different organizations. And I mention them again, the County Veteran Service Office, the American Legions, AMVETS, Red Cross, you name them. They're all there. Our veterans are getting service. That's not the point. Talking about accreditation. So if there's going to be an amendment, the amendment is that, as I said, we will open up the doors to allow them to come back and show the work they've done that will make it easier for them to be licensed in California. As I mentioned that example about driving that big 18-wheeler with a commercial license versus another one. When you come back and you can get licensed in California, we'll back you. I mean, we will help them. So yes, let's go ahead and do that. But right now, we're dealing with the facts today. And the facts are, we are here to help veterans. We've seen it. We've got the support from every veterans organization that I can think of, and they all support this bill. And with that, I do ask respectfully for an aye vote.
Let's call the vote. Motion is due pass to appropriations at last. Kalra. Dixon.
Aye.
Dixon, aye. Hart. Bryan. Connolly. Connolly, aye. Harabedian. Harabedian, aye. Macedo. Macedo, aye. Pacheco. Pappen. Pappen, aye. Sanchez. Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. Zabur. Zabur, aye. Excuse me. It passed. It passed to appropriations.
Yes.
All right. Passed to appropriations.
Thank you. Come back when you're ready, guys. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah. Absolutely.